Before Lord Voldemort brought the wizarding world to its knees, there was a man before him who caused a similar panic, Gellert Grindelwald. Now the two men went down in history more so for the wrong reasons, but what could never be doubted was each man's sheer power. There was no more than approximately 15 years between the end of Grindelwald's dominance and the rise of Lord Voldemort's. It's always crossed my mind, what would happen if the two men actually joined forces? Well, that's something I'll address in a future video, but today's question is why they didn't. Why the Dark Lord didn't just simply free Grindelwald from Nurmengard and add his decades of experience to his forces. Is there any reason behind why we only ever see one encounter between the two? Well, stick around and let's take a look in today's video. Now, it's no secret that Lord Voldemort and Gellert Grindelwald were two completely different people. Although they both had similar goals in achieving wizarding dominance, they wanted to go about it in very different ways. Grindelwald wanted order, he wanted his race to succeed with a new magical government, whereas Voldemort wanted a totalitarian dictatorship where he oversees and rules everything. Now, this is something I've mentioned before in previous videos. I've spoken about it, how different these two men are. But has anyone ever wondered why they never teamed up? Not even once. In other words, why Voldemort didn't break Grindelwald out and even force him to help him? Because let's face facts, Voldemort was powerful enough on his own, but could you imagine having Grindelwald at his side? What an incredible yet deadly force the two wizards would be. Don't forget, if the Dark Lord actually did break Gellert out during his rise to power, it wouldn't have exactly been decades since the man's imprisonment. Maybe 15 to 17 years. He'd still be relatively young in wizarding terms, and upon meeting Tom Riddle, could have seen something in him. After all, this was before Tom made his claim to dominance public knowledge. Those two men working together could be the Dumbledore-Grindelwald partnership that we never got. And it's also not like Grindelwald was sent copies of the Daily Prophet on the regular, keeping him up to date with all the ongoings of the wizarding world. But I will admit, he did know who Voldemort was when he arrived at Nurmengard, seeking the whereabouts of the Elder Wand, which makes me wonder if they had met before. Is this a previous meeting that we're going to see in future Fantastic Beasts movies? Who knows? So why didn't the Dark Lord seek his help, or even force him to help? Well, here's the thing, why would he? Lord Voldemort at that point has never known defeat. He's never experienced what it's like to lose, not in a duel, not in magical terms, nothing. He's rising to power. It's the early 60s, he's still recruiting, but he knows his own power. His arrogance and overconfidence in his ability is his actual weakness. But can we really blame someone acting invincible when they truly believe they can't die? Or it's an actual fact that they can't die, or even believe they can be destroyed. He's created Horcruxes, he's immortal. He also views Grindelwald as weak. Grindelwald lost. Grindelwald was beaten by Albus Dumbledore, whom Tom had the lowest of opinions on, yet feared most of all. Voldemort most likely believed that there was nothing Gellert had done that he couldn't do, or do better. He wouldn't have wanted a second power figure of note either. Something that could have divided opinion amongst his ranks. Let's not forget Grindelwald's war on the wizarding world lasted over 25 years before his defeat. He was famous all over the planet, he had admirers still, he had followers still, and it's no surprise that word reached Hogwarts of current events, and how fitting would it have been that a young Tom Riddle perhaps finding a little bit of motivation from Grindelwald's current crusade. And if we actually think about it for a moment, it's not exactly too far-fetched to think that Tom wanted to capitalise on the latter's failures. And it all goes back to that word failure. Failure disgusted Tom Riddle. Failure disgusted Lord Voldemort. He punished failure with death. He almost successfully dismantled the Malfoy family for Lucius' failures. So I have to reinforce my point that he wouldn't just associate himself with Gellert due to those reasons alone. Now, although Voldemort may have appeared more powerful, and it may be true that he was more powerful, Gellert, however, was more cunning and more manipulative. That's what he was best at. And don't forget the Dark Lord was also manipulative at one point until his ever-growing power filled his arrogance, which in turn led him to making death threats instead of his previous convincing nature. I honestly believe he considered the possibility of recruiting Gellert at one point while exploring the possible outcomes or consequences if he actually did, like a possible betrayal. And can you imagine if Gellert actually did betray Voldemort after being released by the Dark Lord? Well, let's not kid ourselves, we know that Voldemort has loyal followers, but a lot of this so-called loyalty stemmed from fear. Fear of the repercussions of not joining him in the first place. Fear from being first-hand witnesses of his horrific treatment of those who disappointed their master. Gellert Grindelwald was way too intelligent not to spot that Voldemort was a complete psychopath. He preferred to lead by fear instead of leading by inspiration and motivation. That's what made Grindelwald so appealing to wizards all over the world. He wanted change for the better. He truly did. I've no doubt in my mind that he would have swindled quite a lot of the Dark Lord's followers had he been put in any position of power, and unbeknownst to him of Voldemort's immortality, would have confidently believed he could have overthrown the man who freed him. The Dark Lord would have definitely not overlooked such a possibility happening. In truth, he was never going to risk it. Even if joining forces did offer a substantial advantage in the Wizarding War, Voldemort believed he could do it all himself. He would not be rivaled for power. There can only be one leader in his eyes. So in conclusion, I believe that it would be interesting to see some sort of crossover between the two in future Fantastic Beasts movies. And if it does happen, I'd be predicting it to be in the final movie. And although it may not have a significant impact on the outcome of both men's futures, I'll still believe that such an encounter, or even Gellert's war efforts, would have had some sort of effect on a young Tom Riddle in his Hogwarts days. On the other hand, Grindelwald may not have wanted to join him either. Not that he'd have the choice to decline without losing his life anyway. I said earlier that Grindelwald wasn't exactly receiving daily updates of the ongoings of the Wizarding world, but he knew who Tom Riddle was when he arrived. It makes me believe that it's possible, very possible, that Grindelwald was visited by Albus Dumbledore in secret. After all, Albus put him there in the first place, which is a topic that I'll address in another video. And that explains that by the time Tom did actually come to seek information on the Elder Wand, Grindelwald outright refused, because at this point he was aware of the atrocities Voldemort had committed. Whereas back in the 60s, when I believe Tom would have recruited him, he was yet to make a name for himself. Still, Grindelwald would have been aware of the boy at least from Dumbledore's possible visits, and could have outright refused them then too. Anyway guys, it's quite an interesting topic for me personally, because it's crossed my mind several times as to why Lord Voldemort didn't try to recruit Grindelwald. He tried to recruit so many other powerful wizards, and honestly it took me quite some time to properly give this video topic some decent thought. However, with that being said, I want to ask you, is there any other reasons that you can think of as to why the two men didn't join forces? I would honestly love to know your thoughts and opinions, so let me know in the comment section below. Guys, it's so great to be back. I can't wait to upload a lot more content in the days, weeks and months to come. As the majority of you know, the last couple of weeks have been personally for me very difficult to get through, but honestly, from reading your supportive comments, really it did pull me through so much. I'm forever grateful for the support you guys have given me. It really does mean the world. We are on the up, we are on the rise. Harry Potter Folklore is here to stay. So let's get going. Let's enjoy the rest of 2019, and I'm excited to show you what's about to come. Thanks again, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your support. Everyone, notifications of uploads are more important than ever. So please, if you haven't already, turn those notifications on to make sure you're notified the moment my video goes live. Making videos is what I love to do. It's my dream and my passion. However, it does cost time and money to produce this content. So if you have $1 to spare to support me on Patreon in exchange for some exclusive unseen content, then you can click the Patreon link below or at the end of this video. Please only support me if you can afford it. And make sure to follow me on Instagram at InstaDNJ and on Twitter at PotterFolklore. Check out my other videos appearing on screen, and please make sure, most importantly, to hit that subscribe button. Thanks again everyone, and please have a great day.